All right, welcome to an edition of the BFSL Tribune Show. I'm here to bring you live coverage from around the league. This is one of the very first years that we actually using this different outlet. We got the Chiefs, Browns, and the Steelers on air. So I'm gonna let these guys introduce themselves to you, and we'll get rolling.
I'm the Chiefs, Rob Gonzalez.
I'm Brundog, been in the league several years now.
Freshsquad 757. I'm the Browns owner. Been in the league since a while with these guys. So man, it's been great.
So when we talk about the league, let's talk about these Chiefs, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is gonna be leading. You know, he on the front cover of Madden 20. And so, I mean, how do you feel about him? You know, just Patrick Mahomes and your team going into this new Madden.
It's funny, man, because I'm in this league where we draft just rookies in fantasy football, and I actually drafted Patrick Mahomes before the Chiefs did. So for him to wind up to the Chiefs, man, was just kind of crazy for me. But I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like I knew he was going to be very first full season Hall of Fame worthy, and he very much is. And I'm just so surprised as everyone else, man. This is probably one of the best things that ever happened to my city, man. And I mean, we couldn't be more proud and happy we got our guy. This is the first time we really ever went out and drafted a guy. I mean, the last guy was Todd Blackledge from like the 80s or whatever. I don't even know, but I mean, it's crazy, man. And I mean, we're real happy as far as Madden goes. Can you ask for anything better? I mean, dude, when I had Patrick Mahomes last year, he was 77 overall. When we started the season, I got him at 77. He didn't blow up till later on, so I had to build him up my own. And he wasn't quite the Pat Mahomes of real life. I mean, you see him in the playoff. He fumbled twice in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say about him, man.
Oh yeah, definitely that, man. And I'm gonna switch it over to Brundog, a lone BFSL member. He's one of the commissioners of the league. He do a great job of getting this league, making it one of the best that we can ever pretty much have. So Brundog, how you feel about your Steelers? I mean, obviously y'all lost a big time receiver in Antonio Brown. He's gone over to USO Rider with them Raiders. So I mean, can you talk about that and also the league?
Yeah, well, the first thing with the Steelers roster, I've been kind of lucky since I've been in the league because, honestly, the Steelers always have a competitive squad, and with Big Ben, I've always had a starting caliber quarterback. And the loss of Bell doesn't really hurt me much because pretty much every Madden for the last 3 or 4 years, I either trade Bell or let him walk in free agency. So that loss didn't hurt. The loss of AB does hurt because it was nice to have kind of a two-headed monster with him and Juju. But I got the game the other day, and it's nice because they gave Juju some of the X-Factor capabilities, and it seems like he wins a lot of one-on-one balls. And he's got, I think, when he runs crossing patterns, he gets like a boost on those as well. So I think I'll be all right on offense. Where the Steelers always struggle the first few years is for me to build the defense up because their corners are usually pretty weak, although I do have Hayden this year. And it seems like they rated Hilton pretty decent. So building the defense up is usually my focus the first couple of years. And then after that, I do make sure I get a young quarterback in the draft to kind of groom behind Ben. As far as the league, man, this league, I've been in a couple others prior to this. And this is just the best league. Soup does a great job with continuity of keeping owners, keeping the league filled up. Sometimes we'll drop off a little bit down that 23, 24 owner range, but we always have above 20, so there's not a ton of CPU teams. I mean, we have a little drama here and there with some arguments, but for the most part, considering how I've seen some other leagues run with immaturity and stuff, I really just think it's a great group of guys, good sports. I like talking to guys after I play them about, the game, about sports in general, and it's been cool to see some of the guys struggle with life stuff and the rest of us rally around them and support them too. So just a great group of guys, man.
Yeah, most definitely, and this will be definitely something I put on YouTube and as well as Facebook or any other outlets to see if we can do some better recruitment. I think we got like four more spots open. One of the most exciting teams in real life and also in Madden, obviously, is Odell Beckham and them Cleveland Browns. So um, fresh. I mean, considering the success you had without a type of receiver like Odell, obviously you had Jarvis Landry and Callaway, but I mean to actually have OBJ, alongside with a great young quarterback. I mean, can you talk about just the excitement of having a player with that type of abilities for your team?
It has a dimension to my style of play, man. Y'all know, y'all done scouted me players. I'm a run first type guy, so getting OBJ is a little bit different for me to have a number one guy that I really got to try and attack and give him the ball, or else he's gonna be upset. But man, just how I've built rosters. I remember with this Cleveland team for 3 years now. And nobody wanted them at first. And then slowly they started getting these first round draft picks, started getting some heat, and some people started seeing them a little bit more and starting to want to use them more in Madden. And especially this year, that roster is crazy. They filled up with talent, speed everywhere. So I'm really not trying to mess them up. I just know a year or two from now, man, them contracts gonna be crazy. So I already got that in my head. I'm getting the game on Friday, so I haven't been able to see how the new roster looks as far as overalls and things like that, and any X factors. But I'll delve into that probably over the weekend. But really, my game plan up front, man, is to always get that ball running, so I could use my play action and always my biggest thing is to like Brundog was saying, I want to shore up that defense, man. In our division, you give up too many points, you ain't winning too many games. We got a stacked division. I hope we can get a Bengals owner in there soon. But man, our division stays stacked, and so my biggest worry is always the defense. We're all going to score points, so the goal is to try and get at least one of the two defensive possessions, man, to really pump it in. So me, user in the safeties, I'm gonna miss Peppers a little bit
Yeah.
coming in there. So my first year, I'll play who I can at free, but I'm going into the draft looking for a user safety.
Switching over to Brundog, we're gonna pretty much have a stacked AFC team. AFC conference, and then also I feel like we got one of the top four, arguably, in the league that's on live right now. When considering Browns, Patriots, the Chiefs, and the Steelers. So I mean, do you feel like we the toughest conference?
That's tough to say. I mean, especially with Soup winning the last two Super Bowls in the NFC, it's hard to say, that the AFC is better when they won the last couple Super Bowls. I just know that I want to say our first or second season in the previous year's Madden, I went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs one year. So I think that tells you, I mean, there's competition. A lot of games decided by, kind of 4 or 5 points or less. I think there's quality opponents all over. The only thing I hate to see, it doesn't matter if owners are strong or considered weak, as long as it's better than playing CPU teams, man. It's better to have real owners, guys committed, playing 3 days a week. So I try not to get into who's the better conference or who's the better players. Just if you're a good sim guy and a good personality to league and then you add value to it.
Just what are your thoughts as far as it's been a lot of talk as far as like the rules, maybe one thing in particular, the gameplay settings. I mean, do you feel like we should move to all Madden or stick with all Pro?
I don't like to make those determinations till after we played a little bit because seems like every year, like there's years where I definitely thought we should be playing on all Madden. I thought the defensive backs reacted a little bit more realistic. And there's other times where I thought all pro was kind of the sweet spot. So I don't want to comment until we play it for probably a good solid 2 weeks and play some other games. Seems like I played 3 games so far against the computer on a franchise on all pro. And it seems to be pretty decent so far. The DBs haven't been kind of glitching out and letting balls go over their heads like I've seen in last year's game. They seem to be breaking kind of realistic on the ball. So,
Rob, do you got anything you would like to say or any questions to any of the owners that's on live?
The only thing I really want to talk about, and I know Brun said he didn't really like to talk about, who's better than who, but, it's kind of fun to, determine, like tiers and stuff. I mean, I was just wondering, who do you guys think would be, tier 1 to tier 2 as far as the AFC goes? I mean, for real though, I requested to have you guys on here. I think this is pretty much tier 1. I mean, I don't know if you could really add, too much to tier 1, but I mean, tier 2, I was thinking about maybe, putting Fozo there, or I mean, maybe he could be tier 1. I know he went to a Super Bowl NFC, but Bozo's the Dolphins, maybe Jets tier 2, and then Texans owner, is that I am Zay?
Yeah.
I think he could be considered tier 2. And then tier 3, I think then we're looking like maybe Bills, Chargers, Ravens.
Definitely agree with it. And me and you actually had a couple conversations about these top tiers coming from the AFC. A team to watch, really. I don't know about y'all, but it's the Chargers. I mean, if he can build a defense around the team that he actually have and a good quarterback, and I think he can kind of open some eyes.
What you said about the chart, I feel that way about the Ravens, man. He got that with Lamar running out there, man. He can make some things happen if he gets his defense up to snuff, because I know they lost a lot this year with a lot of the old guys, and Mosley went over to the Jets. But if he can get that defense up to par in our division, he might make some noise. The Ravens guy, then the Jets, Liberty Jets, he always balls. He turned that roster around pretty good too. But he's got a young nucleus as well, so he'll have a lot of cap. Now he's got Le'Veon with Sam Darnold, and they get that thing rolling. He might make some noise in the AFC as well.
Speaking of Le'Veon, Brundog, I mean, how do you feel like y'all actually have replaced them yet?
Yeah, I mean, Connor made the Pro Bowl, and I think he's rated in the 80s on this game. He doesn't catch the ball as well as Le'Veon, and he doesn't have kind of the speed and the moves. But, I mean, he's a good back. I'll probably look to add a secondary. I can tell you right now, it seems like the game's similar to last year's as far as injuries. I played 3 games, and I think I've already lost like 3 or 4 players, and Connor was one of them in the second game of the season. The Seahawks knocked him out with a broken collarbone. So I think one of those things where we'll definitely have to have some depth at running back, and probably quarterback. It seems like running back and quarterback, just they let them get killed in this game for injuries.
Have y'all been keeping up with the X Factor, one of the new features of Madden 20? If so, how y'all feel about it?
Well, what I've noticed so far is Bobby Wagner seemed to be like a beast. I played them the second game of the season. He was all over the place, and he must have an X factor, I'm guessing, that causes fumbles, because he caused 2 with big hits. And the only other one I've noticed is, like I said, Juju. When he runs crossing routes, I swear he gets like a +4 in speed, because he gets like a turbo boost. I've thrown some kind of 50-50 balls to him, but I haven't seen him like overwhelm anyone. But maybe you have to maybe set it up and trigger a couple long catches before you do it or something.
And I actually like it, because I mean it's very realistic, because it forces you to have to pinpoint on the guys. It separates those type of guys from the regular guys in the NFL. Like we all know that most of those guys are very high quality athletic guys, but and players like Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Tom Brady, them guys just, Ben Roethlisberger, them guys separate themselves from the rest. And so for them to have those X factors in the Madden, which is something that should have been in the game, but for them to have it now, I think it was a very great step moving forward, and it'll cause us to have to pinpoint those type of guys every time we play. So if I'm playing, the Texans, now I gotta watch J.J. Watt and Clowney on both edges, instead of just playing Madden.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they how they do it with the incoming draft classes, like the years to come, if there'll be like secret gems in the 6th round, like like a Tom Brady or stuff like that. That's what I've been waiting for, the draft classes, where you remember like in old NCAA, you might recruit somebody that ain't been recruited, they want to be like a 5-star or something, like stuff like that, to where you find somebody in the 7th round or undrafted and they wind up being a superstar that's got like a crazy X factor. Or something like that.
As I said before, this is one of the first times we launched this type of media thing to the league, and it makes more excitement, for our league. It's already fun as it is, but to add this and games of the week, I think it'll be great for our league, and it also will show that potential recruitment. It'll help potential recruitment to see that we are able to set time out of our schedules. Obviously, you see I'm working out right now, but like I love this league, so, and I love the game of football. So anytime it's about football and, if I can get you guys to take part, if it ain't number 15, 20 minutes, I definitely appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you adding value to the league. Like you said, anything you can do to separate the league and make it different is great. And I think it's cool. It's nice to talk sports and talk about our teams, but it's cool too to learn about each other. To who is married, who has kids, where do you work, what do you do?